What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John here doing a quick review of Dragon Prince Season 1, Book 1, actually. Book 1, Episode 3. Moonrise? Moonrise. Good title, actually. And we're going to be breaking it down scene by scene, giving our final weaknesses and strengths of the episode, and breaking it all down. So if you guys like these reviews, definitely subscribe. We're going to be putting them out on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then we have our Cabbage Crew podcast every other Monday. So definitely check that out as well, where we talk about mainly Avatar: The Last Airbender, as you can see in the back. But also we talk about other animes and other just things we like. Sometimes
Indeed.
it's not even, sometimes it's just random stuff.
And
So
they
let's
live action Toph.
say that again.
And they casted live action Toph.
And yes, yeah, we'll talk about that definitely. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other stuff. So we just watched episode 3, and let's just break it down. So, first, the episode starts interesting. There's about a 4-minute. No, it's probably not 4 minutes. It was probably only like 45 seconds, but it felt like 4 minutes of the like you describe it very well. And you said before when we were doing our little pre-meeting, a 4-minute, yeah, a 4-minute breakdown, I guess you could say, of the king just getting ready to die and him just prepping for his murder.
Yeah, it was literally 4 minutes. I'm slightly exaggerating. Like
Right.
maybe it was probably like 2 minutes. It was like 2 minutes of no dialogue, just him just preparing for the assassination on his life. He's just getting ready for his honor, and yeah, I mean, there's just no dialogue. He was just putting on a suit and armor, and like,
yeah,
there's like no dialogue with I think there was like Callum and Ezrin too. Like they were just in the dungeon room doing nothing, and then
it reminded me. It reminded me of like, it very much reminded me like of Lord of the Rings, like, you know, child singing, like getting ready for battle.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We're gonna make a lot of Lord of the Rings references because this show has a lot of it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, even Harry Potter, and obviously Avatar: The Last Airbender, as well, because the main writer of Avatar: The Last Airbender was creator of this show. So, yeah. I mean, did you like that, or
did I like what?
The music.
Oh, I think one of the best elements
of
the show is the music. Like I actually
that scene specifically.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. I didn't.
Well, you are wrong.
Well, I thought I will say this: if this was season 4, I'd be like, okay, emotional scene. It's like I don't even know these characters yet. I don't really, it's like it just seems like it's like we're just gonna compare it to like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or one of those series. It's like if they had that like music going on, like before Harry even knew he was a wizard. Like that's how early we are in the series, and so it's like, I just feel like that's something that needs to be done. Go back to Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's like that music happening before Zuko attacks the Southern Water Tribe.
Yep.
It's just the vibe wasn't there for me.
That's fine.
I get what they're doing though. So the first, I guess, real scene you could say in this series, or in this episode, Claudia finds out, again, using the little jelly. They went back to that little jelly handprint. Just don't like that. I just wish it was something else, not the jelly handprint. If it was like, if he was face painting or something before, even if he was like trying to get into battle and they're like, dude, you're going away, and he had like face paint on, he was like face paint, like just something,
right?
But then she finds the kids, I'm just gonna say the
Well,
kids.
let's we need
Go
to
ahead.
talk about there's stuff before that I think
Go ahead.
about. Because like Claudia's talking to Viren,
Oh, all right, yeah.
and so you get the immediate sense there, uh, where Viren has his doubts on supporting the king 100% because because like Claudia goes like, yeah, and like you've been loyal to the king so far. Like I'm paraphrasing, like you've been loyal to the king so far, and then he goes, so far, yes. Like it's like he's not like he won't. It seems like he won't always do that. Like he just there might be something later that he'll disagree with and go against the king and blindside him, I guess, and not be loyal to him 100%. And you even see that later on in one of the scenes that we're about to describe where they have an argument. But like it was to me important to show that maybe kind of like a foreshadowing moment of something will happen later where Viren will completely not be loyal to the king, like whatever strategy that the king has or whatever. Viren will be opposed 100% to the T and won't go along and go behind the scenes on making it not work.
Do you think Viren is going to be set up as the villain of this series?
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, or is he just like a misunderstood character that eventually comes back around and you're like, oh, because like his son, clearly like you could see through his like just some of his, I guess you could say body language. Weird to say, I guess, in an animated movie or show, but like he's not about it either. He doesn't seem like he's on his side. It seems like he's more about actually helping the kids and just not being like as, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it just seems like Varen is this character that you could tell is the one that is the source of all the bad problems. Like if the king didn't have him and the king was like, if they reached the king, I almost feel like he would have been like, yeah, let's try to resolve this. Let's try to bring peace. So
I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be opposed to that idea. I was trying to think. Like, I was going to ask you a question of like, do you think? Because you asked if he was a misunderstood character. Do you? Well, my question to you, and I'm answering your question. The question is, and this might be far fetched, but I'm trying to make the point. Do you think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is a misunderstood character?
Oh wow. Yeah. I didn't see the second one, but I would say
I haven't seen the second one either. But I'm talking about the first one because like it could be the same thing where like he's a misunderstood character, but also a villain. Like it's
yes, but for what we know, this guy Varen has not had the cards dealt to him like wrong. Like the Joker had bad cards dealt to him his entire life. Seemed like a little bit mental illness. His mom had mental illness in that specific movie. The politician / society has failed him, as it does to a lot of people. And so this guy Varen seems like he's well put together. He seems like he's powerful. He seems like he very much has power, and he's not necessarily given a bad hand, and then with that bad hand is misdirected and kind of does some bad things. It seems like he's just kind of evil, or maybe he's misunderstood. But I thought that maybe in the first 2 episodes, but I was like, after this, So anyway, so after that we have Claudia finding Callum and Rayla,
right,
and basically having a discussion with them, a little bit of back and forth. You see some of her magic, and then we, as we love to call here, we do a little cuff and run, and they handcuff her and then get the heck out of there. And then she does more magic with those wolves. Quick little fight with the wolves, and they eventually get it away. So
I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I really liked it. it was adds to the world building of the series,
Mm-hmm.
and the magic system here. I thought it was just really well done in the sense of like, and it's a stereotypical trope in a fantasy type setting where someone send like their physical bodies, like they can't go and chase, but they send something to chase them. So I thought that was pretty cool in terms of
We
world
see
building.
that now. Do you think, because Avatar, going back to Avatar: Last Airbender, and even things like Harry Potter, their magic, it seems like, and I always say this about the MCU, by the way, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's like they ease us into it. It's like they didn't Marvel, they eased us into the magic and the space and all that. They kind of eased us. It started a little bit more ground level. Avatar, it's like they eased us into it. They showed us a little bit. And, they didn't give us bloodbending episode 2. They didn't give us, they gave us Katara could barely waterbend. And then by mid-season 1, she was using some attacks. And then by season 2, you see her grow as a character when it comes to just her abilities. And do you think the magic in this series started? Because I was kind of shocked how many 4 or 5, probably 5 different times in this one episode, they used magic that we never saw before. They never really explained before. And we'll probably learn more about it. But do you think it was too much too fast when it comes to all the different magic that they were? Because you have that, which I thought was really cool with the wolves. You have Varen using his magic to make it so Caleb couldn't talk. You have I forgot the Runan.
Ezrin. Oh, Runan.
Runan uses the arrow and his magic. So it's like there's a lot of different magic going on here, and we've never seen it, never heard about it, and we just have to kind of go with it. Is that something you're okay with? Or because I found myself being not annoyed, but kind of like, okay, every time there's a situation, they get out of it by using magic we've never seen before. Cool, I guess. So, what's your thoughts about that?
I was thinking the exact same thing, and I wanted to ask you about it. Because I remember, because we're on episode 3 right now, we're seeing a lot of things at once, and I'm thinking like it's just like new stuff just blown up in our face. Yes. So, me personally, I don't think I have a problem with it. I do prefer having it eased into it because I think that's what Avatar does well.
Yeah.
And that's what I do prefer. But I don't mind them doing it this way because it's like because I think they wanted to have like a shock value to the audience and just be like, oh, they can do this, and like, oh, that too. And that's kind of like what my mindset was, where I was like, oh, they can do that. Oh, they can do this. Even though I was kind of annoyed with it,
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice way to see.
Not annoyed. I didn't mean to say annoyed. I meant to say I was okay with it.
Okay.
It's not my preference, but
yeah, fine. I mean, again, because all magic's different, right? So it's like Harry Potter, for instance. Like it seems as though with Harry Potter, you learn a spell, you kind of just know the spell and you can do it, and maybe you have to practice it. And so, like, all magic system is a little bit different. For all we know, these characters are going to grow even more. It's just seeing that it's having it one time would have been cool. Like the wolf thing would have been cool. It's like, all right, cool. There's Claudia. She has some magic. She knows magic. We kind of knew she was like a smart character and kind of to herself reading, and now we know why, because she's this spellcaster. Awesome. And we do learn, by the way, that Caleb is a spellcaster as well. For, he's just learning. So maybe he's the one that's going to be learning as the series goes. But it's just, again, it happens like 4 different times. So it's like, all right, it happens once, cool. And then it happens again and again and again with different characters. So it's like, all right, well, a lot of these characters just know different spells that we were never shown or introduced to. And every one of them got him out of a situation for the most part. Like, for instance, you can't, like, I'm going to yell and tell everybody, no, you can't, because I have this magic thing. It's like, and he
I
gets it
did laugh
immediately
at
back.
that. I
And
did
it's
kind
like,
of laugh at that.
yeah, and it's like, okay, like, all right. So, now I will say, I guess Claudia was using dark magic, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, and I guess we'll just jump right to that Virum and Harrow. Let's jump to their argument that we kind of discussed earlier. Kind of happening while the little fight scene is happening with the wolves and the magic.
Well, we didn't talk about other, like, an important thing that we learned in that little.
Oh, what did we learn?
Callum can use magic.
Oh yeah, we just said it. We just said it, but we didn't discuss it. Yeah, I mean, cool. I'm assuming that's no. I mean, well, I'm assuming that is going to be part of his journey, right? Like, he's going to be learning magic as the series moves on. And we know that each book is a different magic element. I didn't want to say element, but magic source. So maybe he learns multiple. Maybe there's a way he's able to learn all of them by the end, like Avatar. Maybe I don't know, but I will say that his character. It seems like his character is the one that's going to be the one we're following in this journey.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense to give him something that we can see this character grow throughout the journey, as well as, I'm assuming, the egg turning into a dragon.
Right.
I mean, what's your thoughts on him being a sage?
You mean a mage?
Sage, mage? What's the difference?
A sage is like the profession of your craft.
And, okay, so he's not a sage
in a magic world.
Oh, okay. He's not a sage mage. He's just a mage.
He's just a mage. A sage is someone who's a waterbending master. He's a master.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Master of magic is essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Callum's just a mage. Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show that, at least I don't think Callum probably comes from a family of mages, because it's probably genetic.
Yeah.
And because he's the king's stepson, or maybe maybe his mom has magic. I don't know. Maybe his mom has the magic, or maybe his dad. Who knows? But it just shows that there is some history probably with him getting it.
I wonder if we're gonna meet his parents. We probably will, but
probably not.
We still don't know. We still don't know what's happened to his mom.
I don't think his dad's alive. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we don't know.
I will say, to cut you off real quick, I just thought of it. I don't want to forget it.
Go ahead.
Again, we both have talked about the writing of this show being very hit or miss. And there is a scene which, well, I guess we'll get to. It's going to keep coming up pretty quick. But the nights where they're fighting, and they're like, "Why don't you just call him Dad?" And he's like,
"Yeah."
Oh, it was like, oh God! Like again, if you're building up to it, like if they said that at the beginning of the episode, and then 2 episodes later he says it, and his dad looks over at him. Okay, it's kind of cliche, but I get it. But it's like 3 minutes after he tells him, like, why don't you just call him Dad? And then he's like, Prince King Hero, Dad. It's like, God.
I was like, oh, that's quick, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Go on though. I'm sorry to cut you off there. I was gonna forget it.
No, you're good. Yeah. So. And then, he can use magic. He just not relearned. He just remembered the spell that Claudia said, the Espero. And then we go to the scene where Viren and Harrow have a heated argument.
Now, I might have forgot this or something. That little memory he had. Did we see that memory?
We did. I'm 90% positive we did.
Because I really hate in shows is when they show us memories that we've never seen before to fix a situation, and I'm like, you know what I mean, like
I'm
something
pretty
like
sure
that,
it's the first episode, if I'm not
like
mistaken.
quick little flashback of something you've never seen before, just to make it. Yeah, I never like if they build that up in the first episode, cool.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure it
remember.
was a first episode thing.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So the heated argument, between well, we have two different heated arguments going on, kind of at the same time. We have a heated argument versus with Varen and Harrow, and then we have one with Ronan. I'm just gonna
Yep.
say the names how I want to say them. Ronan and Rayla.
You actually did it right.
Yeah, and so I do like the Varen one. I do think it shows a little bit more of his true colors. I almost think he was going in there to say, "I'll sacrifice myself, and you can go in your soul can go in my body." Weird thing, because he brought the snake with him, and then as soon as they started arguing, he was like, "Yeah, fuck you, no, never mind." But don't censor me. But yeah, I don't know if that was his plan. But yeah, I mean, what did you think about that heated argument they had? Not even a heated argument, more like an end of a friendship. It felt like.
It's one of those things that like I'm glad they introduced it this way, because it's like if he's your close friend, but he's also under you, what trumps the other?
I like that.
And it was well done. I'm not gonna say it was very well done, but it was by definition well done, in the sense of like Harrow. It's like he wanted to be king in his last moments because about honor and probably about honor and like tradition and orthodoxy, whereas Viren sees him as his friend first. And not the king. Though I believe at this point I believe he's doing it. He's not paying respect to the title, because I think he's at this point disrespecting Harrow and his reign.
Yeah.
And so, but
because the friendship outweighs the respect of the title, it's almost like
and it's just like which one do you prefer? It's like this is just a slight side tangent. When my dad and I were watching The Crown on Netflix, like my dad's biggest confusion, like he loves the show, but like my dad's biggest confusion is like why can't Charles call Queen Elizabeth mom? Like he can't do it. Like like because it's the royal family.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're sibling or not siblings. If you're like with your mom and dad, that's not a thing within a royal family. Right. And it's like, so what I'm saying is it's kind of like that little thing there with Harrow and Viren, where like they're good friends, but like Harrow in his last moments can't, not that he can't, but he just wants to do it his way. And
yeah, he's probably up. I mean, Harrow is probably upset at this point. Feels like he was betrayed. Because remember, the last time they talked was, "Would you do it for me?" or whatever. Like, you know, like the whole snake thing. That's why I went back, because that probably only happened maybe an hour ago. So he's like, you know, anyone would sacrifice their life and let you have their soul in their body. And he's like, "Would you?" And he's like, and then he walked away. And then he probably thought about it for a couple of minutes, grabbed the thing, told his daughter, "I love you," and was going to come back. In my opinion, was going to come back and say, "I will do it for you." But they had that argument. Now he's like, "Yeah, screw you, never mind."
Yep. And then like, you know, the biggest like dagger, the biggest like little mini dagger to the heart was like when Hera said on your knees.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So then you have a little bit quicker one with the Ronin and Runin and Rayla
Rayla. Yep.
argument slash and an eventual fight, which we get to see their powers and what the moon does when they actually use their powers, which makes it. Now, I wouldn't say they're invisible, but it makes it so they're maybe harder to see, like shadows almost.
I mean, they're the moon shadow elves, so yeah.
Yeah. Because I do think because they could be seen, like they were fighting the knights, so I think they could be seen, but they may gain a little bit of strength. I don't know, and then they kind of become shadowy.
Yep.
Which was a cool effect in my opinion. I thought that was a
agree.
really cool effect. Good. I think a pretty good, quick little argument between Rayla and Ronin. It seems like, again, I don't know if he's an uncle. I don't know if he's just a leader of her little tribe, but it seems like he is kind of holding back. Like, look, kid, like, please just step it off. I think if he wanted to kill her, he would have. But it's just like he's trying to convince her that you're not thinking right. And he probably knows that. Again, it comes back to it's like they're arguing about, I guess, values, or they're arguing about their point of view, and he doesn't want to see her get hurt or die, so he's trying to like kind of beat her in combat and move her aside so we can get the egg,
Right.
without killing. Because I think he even said, like, he said something along the lines of like, I'll kill you if I have to or something.
Right.
I don't think he would, but yeah, I thought all that was pretty good.
I agree. The fight scene was good. Again, more world building with the Moon Shadow Elves' powers under a full moon, because they rise with the moon.
Yeah.
And, I thought like honestly the bits of dialogue majority of this episode was good. With the comedic aspect, where it's like backtracking a little bit, where Ezra's like wrong way, and then Callum's like why hits the wall,
right? Yeah.
And then when Rayla and them are fighting, and he goes, "You're better than this," and she goes, "Oh really? You've had 20 years of training."
It's very season 1 Avatar: The Last Airbender comedy.
Yeah.
Which, again, hit or miss. I don't know if this writer was writing the majority of the first season. I don't know, or the creator. So maybe this is just their comedy. But yeah, again, it's hit or miss. You have to remember a lot of this is made for children or younger people, so they might think that's hilarious. I could do without it, but at the same time, it's there, and it's not. It doesn't take you away from the scene. So the Calum and Varen scene that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yep.
Him confronting, trying to confront the king, and we had that little moment where he says, "Dad." But overall, I think that scene was done well. Right before they get attacked by the elves, it very much, I think, just really shows that Varen's like episode 1 and 2. I'm like, is he misunderstood? What's this friendship like? Because I was like, episode 1, I'm like, this is a friendship. We don't know what's happening. Obviously, the king. Whenever there's a king and then there's a friend of the king, you're always like, is he going to be actually a bad guy? Episode 2, you're like, okay, you find out he's the one that kind of started the war. You're like, okay, like maybe he's bad, maybe he's misunderstood. That's kind of how I felt going into this episode. But when you have the main character confronting a misunderstood, or hey, maybe he's bad, maybe he's good, and he says the things he said to him, you're like, oh, they're specifically trying to point this man as the bad guy.
Right.
So it's like pretty clear at this point. And that's why I almost feel like Haro, I keep saying his name wrong, Haro and Ronin, them two might be the misunderstood. Hey, they're the two leaders of the opposite clans, I guess you could say, but they actually, neither of them are bad guys. Like, they both seem like they're decent people. They're just opposite sides. Haro seems like he's a good king, and he actually cares about the boys, and he this wasn't really even his fault, but he's kind of going with it. And then the leader of the elves is like, hey, I care, again, it's like, yeah, he's a bad guy, but he's doing what his side believes in. And if he was really like an evil man, he would have just killed Rayla and been like, all right, time to do business. But you could just tell there's something where he's like, oh, come on, kid, like get out of my way so I can do this.
Right.
So I feel like Varen is actually an evil man.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, so after the conflict, he runs away. I love when he was running down the steps and he saw that like dead man. He was like, I actually like that because I was like, yeah, that would be a real reaction. Like he's running down, he's like, I gotta get away. He's running away. And there's like a dead man on the top of the steps, and he's like, I like that. I thought that was pretty funny. And it was like Saga too. It was like, oh gosh, because that's the one thing this show has that Avatar really didn't have. It's like you have people dying, where Atlas did a really good job of getting away from people dying, unless it was like for an emotional reason for a relatively main character, and they would hint that character died. But you never just like Day of Black Sun saw like a character get slaughtered. So
one of the funny scenes in one of the funny moments of that scene, and I was just like, I actually laughed LOL as soon as it happened, is whenever the first arrow gets shot, and then it hits the third shoulder, he just goes,
yeah. Well, it hit his armor, but yeah, that was a pretty funny scene. That was pretty funny.
I was like, I thought you got hit, bro.
What's yeah. Me and my friends were like, we were going to, we kind of did, but it kind of fell through. Made a comment. We were making a comic, and in one of the scenes, and it's like a rated R comic, and in one of the scenes that we were like putting together, two characters were talking, and it was like the beginning of an episode because we had like a 7-episode arc. And at the end of the 6th episode, they were like ready to go to battle. At the beginning of the 7th episode, you have these two characters, and they're basically going to, as in like going to the castle, I guess you could say, to attack. And these two characters are just sitting there, and he's like, man, great day out. And he's like, yeah. And they're talking, and all of a sudden the arrow goes right to the guy's face. And then it turns and all the characters are right down. Like he's just like, how's the wife? Oh, she's doing great, man. The little boy, and little Timmy, he's 3. He is. Oh my God. He was like, oh my God. He turns, and the main character's like running down the hill. Because every episode, what we did, I kind of wish we kept doing it, but it was so damn expensive. What we did was every episode, there were 6 main characters and the villain. So every episode, I'm crying. Every episode, the main character of the episode would be a different character. So, and so all the characters are there, but it's like each episode is now their point of view, and it would continue. Like episode 1 would be the main character, and episode 2, now it's like the episode revolves around this character as we're continuing the story. And then the last episode was the villain's point of view, and now the main character is attacking, and it's almost like he is the main character getting attacked by these people, but those people are all the people that you've been following the entire series as the main characters. That's kind of like what we were doing. But yeah, yeah, hilarious. I just thought about that moment. So yeah, I mean, let's just, I guess, break down, strengths and weaknesses. I mean, for me, I think the strength so far of this entire series, but very much this episode, is
we didn't even end the show. We didn't even end the.
Yeah, we did. I mean, that's kind of when they run away.
Okay.
What? No. What else?
You.
What?
You did not recognize the trope, did you?
What trope?
The ending of the episode.
No, I didn't.
This was literally Fellowship of the Ring. we may
I guess.
we're not gonna go back and help. And we're not gonna go back and help fight and protect our land. We're gonna protect the egg and go and deliver it to Zadia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they're all three of their point of views at this point are both of our, again, I'm going to say tribes, but both of our sides will not have peace and they're going to just kill each other. So we have to now go and try to end this war ourselves.
Right. And it's ambassadors from both sides. And that's what
right.
I like. It's
yeah.
And that is what
because they
did.
They both went to their leaders and tried to be like, hey, let's resolve this. And both the leaders said no. So they're like, okay, I guess we got to come together and do it ourselves.
Right. It's like the kids of the show save the day.
100%.
Save the day. And the difference is where, like, Fellowship, it's like the world's gonna end, so we're all gonna collaborate.
Right.
And then here it's just like, both sides are at war, everybody's at war, and we're gonna be the ambassadors for peace.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, strengths and weaknesses. No, the strengths, I think the whole series so far, 3 episodes, but I think the strengths of it is the world building, the lore, even though I think they did too much magic stuff, but I'm willing to look past that in the sense of it depends on where we lead to and depends on how it grows. But I think overall, just the story is coming together. Now it's like, okay, now we are away from the castle and now we're starting this journey. And yeah, Fellowship of the Ring vibe, Avatar's Airbender vibe. It's like, okay, first couple episodes, we're at the southern, now we're leaving, so it's like, you can kind of tell the adventure's starting. I like these characters, I think all 3 of the main characters, Ezrin, Callum, and Rayla, I like all 3 of them. You can already kind of get an idea of each one of them. I think they did a good job at that. So yeah, I'm intrigued and I'm excited for the series. Weaknesses of this episode, I think we've already talked about it. I think there's just some writing issues time to time, not necessarily throughout, but mainly scene to scene. Some of it's comedic stuff that they're trying. Some of it's more of them just handing you in a platter what they're trying to say. But again, I think all series do that a lot. I think if you look back at the first 2 or 3 episodes of any series, you might be like, it got way better, so that's kind of where we're at with that. What about you?
I actually don't disagree. So I think obviously the writing is the weakest so far. I think they did a little bit better with the dialogue this time around, with this episode. Just in terms of, like, yeah, it might have been season 1 Avatar still, but it was like still, like, for the, like, its biggest weakness is also very good, or not very good. It's still good. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, whereas I don't think the dialogue,
it's spotty. Like, for me, the weakness is writing and it's spotty.
Yes.
So.
Yep, that's perfectly described. Because there's like several moments where I did laugh.
It was through the whole.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're cutting off there. Are you there?
No, I said like there were moments that I did laugh at with the dialogue, but then it was like the dad, like Ezrin tells Colum, like, why don't you call him dad while they're in the middle of doing something like important. And then, like, it just didn't, that adding that in there just didn't make sense to me at that point in time. It would make sense, like, maybe when they're in the woods leaving and they're having a rest time, and then Ezrin's like, Callum, why don't you call him dad? And like, it would have been better served that way rather than in the middle.
If there was like at the end of this episode, maybe next episode, like you said, sitting in the woods, relaxing, whatever, and they make a big deal out of it, and then in episode 9, in the season finale, he yells "Dad," and some, it's like he yelled "Dad." The dad wasn't even there; he's in the other room. He never even looked at him. They never even acknowledged the fact that, like, oh, he said "Dad," or even if they talked about it in the first episode, and then they made a small little, like, hint to it,
right.
like even if they were like downstairs, he's like, well, you're, and Rayla was like, well, your dad. He's like, stepdad, and Ezra's like, why don't you just call him dad?
Right.
And then it came back at the end of the episode where he says dad, but fine. But like again, I agree. It's just some of the writing has been spotty. I think I agree with you. 80% of this episode, it was great. It was fine to great. Really like for the most part, anytime they had dialogue between two characters, especially intense dialogue, I thought it was good.
Yes.
It was, and that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the series. And hopefully you guys, the Cabbage Crew, continue watching us on this journey. We're gonna be putting out again Wednesdays and Fridays. I put them up around 8:00 in the morning, give or take, 7 to 8:00 in the morning. We're gonna be doing these reviews, so just make sure you subscribe for that. Cabbage Crew podcast every other Monday as well. Where we just talk about stuff.
Avatar. What are you talking about?
I think
stuff.
Avatar.
Avatar.
I talk about Avatar, anime, Marvel, sometimes just random stuff, but mainly Avatar: Last Airbender. I think we're on episode like 26, 27 for that. So chugging along there.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but season 7 of The Dragon Prince comes out December.
December, yeah, I saw that. Well, I don't know if we're gonna catch up, but I will say that I'm not gonna catch up. It's in a month.
It's gonna be close. I think we're gonna be semi-close.
We'll be getting there. I think we're probably gonna be like in season 3, season 4.
Yeah.
But I will say that when the show comes out, we will be ramping up and the excitement will be there, So it is something where it's coming out in the next month or two. It seems like the last season, and we're in the middle of watching it. So I don't know if it comes out week to week. If it comes out week to week, there's a chance we catch up. Because 9 weeks is about 2 months. So, but cool. All right. Well, Cabbage Crew, see you next time.